There is a lot of talk about the hormone progesterone, but how do you know if it's low? Well, here are the four top symptoms I need every woman to know that if you have them, it's probably your progesterone. Hi, I'm Dr. Carrie Jones. I'm a women's health and hormone expert, and I completely understand that hormones like progesterone can feel like herding cats. So you're going to want to hit that subscribe button so you can continue to learn more. Now, progesterone is your progestation hormone. It is the hormone that gets talked about all the time with pregnancy. But what if you don't want to get pregnant, but yet you want healthy levels of progesterone? How do we get there? And what does it mean if it's low? Well, progesterone is only made in the second half of your cycle once you ovulate. When you release the egg, then progesterone gets produced. But a lot of things can happen where that goes haywire and you don't make a lot of progesterone. You can have PCOS. You can be in a high stress state. There are certain medications that will block this, such as the birth control pill or steroids or opioids. You could have been sick recently. Illness can throw off your ovulation. You could have had a head trauma. There are a lot of reasons that your progesterone doesn't get pumped out like it should. And when progesterone is low relative to estrogen in particular, you don't feel good. So here are the four symptoms that I absolutely talk with women about. And I need you to know that, hey, if you have them, you might have low progesterone. So number one is PMS, premenstrual syndrome. Estrogen gets all the love here. All the information on social media is, oh my gosh, if you have PMS, you probably have high estrogen. Maybe, but it's relative to progesterone. What if your estrogen is perfectly pristinely normal, but your progesterone's near zero? Then it appears on lab work that there's this ratio imbalance. Like the teeter-totter is teetered towards estrogen, but estrogen's not actually high. It's just relative to progesterone. Really, progesterone's the problem. We need to get progesterone up. But when we have this imbalance, women notice their PMS is really worse leading up to their period. So they can have mood changes, they can have tender breasts, they can feel bloated, they can feel snacky, hungry, hangry, right? Like all the things that women can go through. So PMS is a big one. Number two symptom that I see with low progesterone are heavy periods and even clots. Again, estrogen gets all the love here. Everyone talks about, oh my gosh, when estrogen's really high, your periods are really heavy. Maybe it's relative to progesterone too. Progesterone helps us have really nice, easy periods. Now, clots are like that thick, clumpy stuff that can come out. And while it's true, high estrogen relative to progesterone can create them, not having enough progesterone in the first place can cause, well, let's call it like a brick. You're building in a brick wall in your uterus. So the bricks are the estrogen, and the mortar that keeps the wall all nice and neat is the progesterone. Well, maybe you have a normal amount of bricks, but you have no mortar. So when it falls off, it just crumbles, and that's what comes out like a big clot or a lot of blood. Again, we're missing the mortar, which is progesterone. So don't automatically think estrogen when you have heavy periods or clots. It could also be, in addition to, separate from, we have a lot of options here, low progesterone. Symptom number three that you might have low progesterone: can't sleep, insomnia, can't fall asleep, can't stay asleep, especially in the week leading up to your period. In the week around, before your period, that's when your progesterone should be the highest. It's called the luteal phase. It's the phase after ovulation. And after you ovulate or release the egg, then progesterone goes up like a mountain and then back down, and then you get your period if you're not pregnant. So in the week leading up, if your progesterone never hit the mountain peak, it's more like a bunny hill or a tiny little speed bump, then what can happen is that you notice you don't sleep well before your period. Progesterone is soothing, it's calming, it's relaxing, and it plays a role in sleep. Now, estrogen does too. Estradiol does play a role in things like your REM sleep, but especially when you're feeling like, in that PMSy time, I just don't sleep that well, I'm restless, low progesterone can be the culprit. Now, that leads me to number four, symptom number four of potentially having low progesterone, and that is anxiety or irritability or impatience. Progesterone, when it breaks down in the body, it goes up to the brain and is calming. It's soothing. It's relaxing. It activates what's called your GABA receptor. And GABA is your calming, inhibitory, slow it down, brake system. So if you don't have a lot of progesterone, you may notice in your PMS time, you're irritable, you're impatient, or your anxiety goes through the roof, or you're feeling anxiety for the first time ever. And you're like, what is this symptom? I only get it leading up to my period. Progesterone can play a role here if you don't have it. So again, PMS, heavy periods, clots, can't sleep, can't fall asleep, can't stay asleep, and anxiety, irritability, impatience. When I see those four symptoms, I automatically think, let's test that progesterone. Let's see what's going on with progesterone. Now, lucky for you, I have an entire video set on progesterone. So you're going to want to watch this next video all about progesterone on what you can do. I even have videos on progesterone replacement if that's the direction you need to go. I have videos on progesterone versus chaste tree, which is a very common herb that herbalists use and holistic practitioners use to help support progesterone production. So I have a lot of resources for you on progesterone. But I need you to know these top four symptoms, if you have them, don't automatically assume estrogen. Think about your progesterone too.